Let me come in with this analogy.
If you don't have
so that you can
leaders,
respond to it as well.
Okay.
You know, a lady, because we virtually interviewed her on Sunrise. Sunrise did it because she left Nigeria, went to London. She got in there. She was in Watford area. So she stayed, I don't think she even stayed up to a year or two. And then she started to run for office. So she ran, and the people looked at her. They had been looking at what she had been doing in her community. So she got elected. I'm not sure she had any citizenship or any such thing, but somehow, if I don't remember the full story, but she got elected ultimately. So when you say that the process that we don't interrogate them enough, because in that particular case, in her community, they had done an assessment of her before they elected her. What do we then do? Is it about our system, or does it just speak specifically to perhaps the conveyor belt of the leadership recruitment process?
For me, this is really a conversation, the next generation of leaders, or next generation of Nigerians who
not just our generation, shouldn't we say it now?
No, I mean, when I say the next generation, I'm talking about those who find themselves in positions of leadership today. They are not the ones I'm speaking to now. I'm looking at those who would be looking at, thinking, I can do better. Because that is what we need. People who can do better than what we have right now. Because we somehow don't always end up with the best being in charge. And that in itself is something I'm finding difficulty in comprehending. How we keep ending up having square pegs in round holes and round pegs in square holes, where people who we end up having reluctant leaders. Somebody's told, you know what, come and be governor, come and be senator. Okay, we'll make you president. Okay, run because we said you should run. Not because you want to run. Not because you think you have something to offer. A group of people come together, they feel that they can use you, that you are an asset, not because of what you can do, but because of what they can get if you are the one there. And as long as this is the kind of leadership we keep producing, as a people, as a country, we can make the needed progress. That's why I said it is a conversation for the next generation of leaders, or people who aspire to leadership positions, to begin to have, to say, who are the people? Can we begin to identify them? Can we rally support for them and begin early? Not wait until it is a few months to election, because the complexities, as it were, that characterize our electoral process is not one that allows you to come in a few months to, all right, and then just think you can seize the moment and then just have your way. No, you must begin from somewhere. Your engagement must be broad, and you must become a movement, as it were. And until we come to that point where everybody, or the majority, as it were, comes to that level. I mean, they come to that level and say, enough is enough.
Pascal,
we need something better.
I haven't heard your submissions. Would you say that the new entrants into the political race, especially at the presidential level, have they done enough to suggest to the Nigerian people that they need to take a second look, a critical look, at their antecedents and their performance in their various fields? And that will form the basis to which Nigerians will rally around. Possibly even if we have a third force, rally around such individuals.
Listen, I'm impressed, very impressed. I was in the hall in Nikon when the three were interviewed. I understand that Atiku came and he couldn't come because the president didn't show up, and it was the atmosphere in that little room was electric. I could point to say, this is my president. I could point to any of them and said, this is my president. So the point I'm making here is that, and you could see some of them say these things, that when I become president, whenever God will let them become president, he will harness Nigeria first. They asked him economic questions, he will bring it back to politics. He said, you will not have economic emancipation as long as your politics is flawed. So if he's able to come in, then he will be able to put in the things in place. So I am confident that as we go forward, these new political parties, though the numbers are quite overwhelming, we should begin to now prune them groom them. Their day is around the corner.
All right, let's go to Abuja now. We've got Clement Wankwo here, convener of Situation Room. Good morning and thank you for joining us. Well, we've seen since several reports about CSOs blasting INEX, a 2019 poll, a step back from 2015. Could you shed some light on this? You, yes, involved in elections, observing. What did you find?
Thanks, Chamberlain. Your voice is cracking a bit, so I'm not quite sure if I heard entirely, but I must say that we're quite concerned, and we did issue a report from the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room where we had raised concerns about the lapses with the elections. Lapses that include, which everybody has been speaking to as well, the late commencement of polls. In some cases, we did see polls beginning at 4 p.m. The point is that once you miss the commencement time, it means that collation stretches into the night. And with 73 presidential candidates running this election, you are bound to see collation stretch even to the next day. And that's what we have seen with this election. INEC managing all of these logistics challenges has been a problem. Beyond the issue of late delivery of materials and late commencement of polls is also that we saw materials in some cases being delivered in the wrong direction. And by the time you correct this, the day really would have gone. An additional troubling issue appears to be the escalation of what we are at this time still examining, but it looks like the suppression of votes. It looks like there might have been, and we have to see now whether this is deliberate or not, but it seems too coincidental that it is happening across the country, that where it appears that a certain segment of people are located that may not necessarily be people who are perceived as supporting a particular political party, that there were late delivery of materials, late delivery of materials, and late commencement of polling. Even in some cases that polling didn't take place, and we did see, and Channels Television did report that. The case in Kano, Sabongari, where, and we followed that up with election management body and didn't get a feedback that they did not get materials. In Lagos, for instance, as well, in the Okota area, and that's been a major controversy as well, where votes couldn't be allowed to happen and was not allowed to happen. In several parts of the southeast and south regions of the country. In Rivers State, we're still struggling with the issue now of even allowing collation to conclude. Imo State, of course, has been one of the most scandalous of all of these elections, where a particular candidate went into a polling collation center and forced the returning officer to announce results in his name, and we did see that particular returning officer announce that he was announcing this under duress. We had expected that as soon as this happened, I should have immediately cancelled that election, and we're still waiting to see what INEC does with respect to this. The collation process has been a challenge, and we have seen some of the returns coming from the states, all of the disputes arising from it. I think these are issues that INEC needs to address, that the fact that the declaration was made does not necessarily automatically mean that it is accepted. If the circumstances surrounding the declaration of a result does not fulfill the law, then it's something that INEC needs to deal with and handle immediately, rather than resort to the usual issue of people who are dissatisfied going to court. I think that at the end of the day, if people feel that this election has not gone well and hasn't followed even INEC's own processes, either because of INEC's own failings or because of pressure and interference from security forces, then this country must be concerned about where we are.
We'll take a look at some of those specific cases and what INEC said. That's at the time we had Mr. Koye in the studios, but that will be when we come back in a moment, so just hold on.